Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenoff coming to you live from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Busy show coming up for you today. Andrea Watkins is a best-selling New York Times author. She has a great Substack called For Such Times as These. I highly encourage you to check it out and subscribe. Andrea Watkins grew up in a Christian nationalist household, so she has some interesting perspectives on what is going on among some members of the Trump administration who are Christian nationalists.
Yep.
Russ Vogt, guy who wrote Project 2025. And we're going to talk to Andrea about SNAP benefits and cutting these programs, which is a big part of Project 2025.
Yes.
So Andrea is going to be here after the 9:30 news to give us some perspective on that. In hour number 2, Dr. Kristen Lyerly, friend of the show, host of the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show on weekends.
Yeah.
She is going to join us. Big news about women who are going through menopause and some potential hormonal relief. That was just announced. Also, Ozempic.
Yeah.
Ozempic for everyone. Ozempic for all.
Yeah.
And that was another announcement made by the Trump administration this week. Bob Jr., who's the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, who says, don't ask me about medical advice.
Don't take it from me.
I don't know what I'm talking about. But Ozempic for everybody. And he had some interesting comments about how Ozempic is going to be good for people who live in food deserts.
I don't understand why he gets to talk, but he's
So we'll kick that around along with many other things with Dr. Lyerly coming up in hour number 2. Then we will lighten it up after the 10:30 news with Audio Sorbet. That's where we talk about everything other than the news.
Yeah, we have some fun.
Have some fun. Have some laughs.
Yeah.
Just to lighten things up a little bit. Today's Audio Sorbet question. When did your body start betraying you?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you something, boy.
Oh, yeah. I would say this is it's a sorbet / a community gripe.
Community gripe.
I'm not sitting here yelling at the clouds. I'm just, sad about the fact my body's like, hey, Greg, guess what? Things aren't as easy as they were maybe even last week. But
So when did those first twinges start hitting you? We can also call it lumbago corner, which I kind of like. When did your body first start betraying you? Were you in your 30s when your knee went out? Were you in your 40s when you finally got that shoulder twinge? When did your body begin to betray you? That is our Audio Sorbet question after 10:30. And then we'll wrap it up as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it is the Crock, Drop, and Roll edition.
There you go.
I had to practice that like 5
That was
times.
hard. It took me quite a few attempts this morning.
Yep. Also, some breaking news this morning about the Epstein files. The Democratic House Oversight Committee has released a couple more emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I want people to never forget this, but I am so tired of talking about this topic because it feels like we're just walking ourselves into the greatest disappointment that no one is going to be surprised by.
Yeah, we'll have some updates with Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is going to swear in this representative from Arizona who's been waiting weeks to be sworn in, and that could bring about the release of the Epstein files.
Sure.
Well, I know. We'll see what happens. But that update is coming up in just a little bit. I did want to start off with this, though. So we're on the cliff of reopening the government.
Possibly. Yeah.
Guess what they did, though, when they were putting together this reopening package? They slipped in this little thing. This little tiny thing.
I thought this whole thing, Jane, was based on this is a clean CR. There's nothing in there there's nothing untoward. Everything is hunky-dory. Why can't the Democrats just walk in and do the work and vote for this so we can open the doors back up? But then now there's I guess you call it a rebate program.
Well, it's a provision, they're calling it, of the package that will end the government shutdown. This allows 8 senators including Wisconsin's very own senior Senator Ron Fiscal Responsibility Johnson.
Yeah.
This would allow 8 senior senators to bring lawsuits if federal law enforcement subpoenas data without notifying them. This goes back to the investigation into January 6th and the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah.
And yes, there were some senators, they were looking at their phone records because they were making phone calls on the day of this attack.
Yes.
And one wondered maybe they had something to do with this attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now they want to include this that would allow these senators potential damages of $500,000 per violation.
Mm-hmm.
Per violation.
Yeah.
That could add up to a whole bunch of money. And who would be paying that money, Greg Bach?
The Argentinians.
No.
The Chinese.
Try again.
My great uncle Mike.
Is he still alive?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, he's not paying either. This would be on us, the American taxpayers. This little provision they slipped in there, I'm sure Ron Johnson had nothing to do with this. Nothing. We have a little clip from C-SPAN. This is Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez talking about these 8 senators who just want to be able to get a little money back. Is that so bad? Take a listen, please.
And we keep saying 8 senators. I'm going to say their names.
Yeah.
We have 8 senators. Senators Graham, Johnson, Senator Blackburn, Senator Loomis, Senator Haggerty, Senator Hawley, Senator Sullivan, and Senator Tuberville. Let's say their names.
Yes.
Let's make sure the American people know who will get millions of dollars, because each violation will give you $500,000. And so they can claim violation. And when we say violation, that sounds like something went wrong. Let's make sure the American people know. These were subpoenas or inquiries by the FBI that were authorized by the courts, that were authorized by grand juries when they were looking into what happened around the January 6th insurrection. And the American people saw that this place was overrun by violent attackers.
Yes.
We were here.
Yes.
We were here. There were 140 law enforcement officers who went to the hospital. 140 police officers went to the hospital, and now we're going to pay senators, these 8 senators that I have called out, we're going to pay them millions of dollars instead of providing any money to the veterans, instead of providing any money to the children, to the families. It is outrageous, and it is horrible.
Yeah. What she said.
Yeah.
Pretty much what she said.
We are not talking about the FBI sneaking into data and to illegally recover information. This was all done, once again,
Through the process
of the courts, and was permitted by the courts. And now they get to go back and say, I have been harmed by the fact that I tried to harm the United States of America. Give me my money. And I'm very surprised. Well, I'm not. Let me rephrase that. I'll be surprised what Senator Hawley does. Because Senator Hawley in the past year has been kind of a back and forth figure. He's been sticking it to business a lot.
Yes.
Who on the matter of how much money they make. I mean, recently talking to a CEO about getting
Boeing.
a 45% raise over 1 year to, like, what was it?
1% over 8 years for the workers.
Exactly. And having the CEO of Boeing being a little snarky about it too. But it'll be interesting if this goes through, if he takes part in those lawsuits to get that money, because it will kind of then undercut everything he's trying to be, which I personally see as a bit of rebranding, because do not forget that on January 6th, he is walking to the building before those traitors and insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, and he raised his fist to them, not giving a middle finger,
No.
not shaking and saying, get off my lawn.
No.
He is doing it in concert, in support of those people who tried to overthrow our election. One of the people who was there, by the way, Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden.
That's right.
He was there.
He was there.
And if you watch The Daily Show on Monday, a great term I've learned from two congressmen, Congressman Ryan and DeZino, I believe his last name is. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. Oathbreaker. That's what I will refer to him as. But I'll be interested to see what Josh Hawley does with that. But this, Jane, honestly does not surprise me at all. This is crazy.
If you're just joining us, we are talking about this sneaky little provision they added into the package that will end the government shutdown that essentially allows 8 senators, including our very own senior Senator Ron Johnson, to sue law enforcement and look at potential damages of $500,000 per violation. Now, we talked about this last week. The president, Donald Trump, he doesn't want to hear about affordability.
Don't talk about it.
He doesn't want to hear about it. He doesn't want to hear about anything. At that time, we suggested you call your representatives and talk to them about affordability, and then maybe they can pass that along.
Yeah.
But since this is being debated this morning, because they're talking about it now, this might be a good time to call Ron Johnson's office and tell him what you think about the potential that we, as taxpayers, will be paying him, Ron Johnson, who is worth somewhere between 25 and $130 million.
Yeah,
There's a pretty big stretch there.
We tried looking it up, and it said anywhere between like 23 and $110 million. And we're like, I just put it this way. He's way richer than me.
He's way richer than a lot of us.
Yeah.
And even if his taxes went up, he'd still be really rich.
Exactly.
He'd still be really, really rich. PJ also on the live stream drops this in, which is something to keep an eye on, too. The other sneaky thing they put into the bill, the Senate has rejected an amendment to a critical spending bill that would have taken out language to ban hemp products containing THC.
So they took it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Rejected an amendment that would have removed language to ban hemp. So they're still looking to do that.
Yeah, it's if you want to call Ron Johnson's office in D.C.
How would I find that number?
I got it for you. I looked it up for this number. You can go to myvote.wi.gov to find this information anytime you'd like. You put in your information, it tells you who represents you. But I'm going to give it to you right now. It's the D.C. number. It's 202-224-5323. 202-224-5323. Call it. Tell them what you think. Be kind and respectful, because Ron Johnson's not picking up that phone.
No.
It's going to be an aide, an intern, somebody who's getting paid next to nothing or nothing at all. But yeah, 202-224-5323. Call them up right now. Tell them what you think about this amendment or provision or rebate or whatever you want to call it.
I just want to remind him he works for us.
And that they've been telling us for months now. There's no money for anything.
There's no money.
There's no money.
Lori from Hayward texting in, Jane, this is really no different than Trump trying to make the U.S. taxpayer give him millions of dollars because he broke the law during January 6th. You're absolutely right, Lori. Thank you so much. When we return, some new tidbits are out about Jeffrey Epstein. This is quite something. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back. morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvitini on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. And don't forget, if you have the Civic Media app, you can also leave a voice note.
Absolutely. Whether you like us or not.
Or not. We do listen to all of them.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
yes, get the Civic Media app. It is
Absolutely free.
And I believe
What's
I've
that?
heard rumors.
What rumblings?
Rumblings, titterings.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, that there could be another multi-state text to win contest. Yes, coming
Not just
up.
a text. That's just a state.
A multi-state text to win contest coming soon.
Intergalactic text to win contest.
So download the Civic Media app. That will be the way to play if and when
Yeah.
that next fabulous contest comes around. This breaking as we came on the air this morning seems important.
Yeah.
House Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released some emails overnight regarding the Epstein files. They released some emails between Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently serving 20 years for her role in trafficking and raping these young girls.
Doesn't seem like a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. These are messages between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. In one of the messages, Epstein flatly asserted that Donald Trump knew about the girls, many of whom were later found by investigators to have been underage. In another email, Epstein wondered how to address questions from the media about his relationship to Donald Trump as he was becoming a national political figure. This was 2011.
Yeah.
So this was before he ever announced he was going to run, anything like that. Yeah, this seems bad.
It's all seemed bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad, but we now live in a bizarre world where there are zero consequences for what it seems zero consequences for anything. And the only thing I could rely upon, Jay, and I hate saying this, is Congress. That people in Congress will step up, not just the Democrats, but
Some Republicans
will step up and say, no, this is what we've been fighting for years. This has been a central pillar of our platform as far as releasing the Epstein files, finding out the truth. You know, it started as take down the libs, Pizzagate, blah, blah, blah. But there are people out there who want to know these names from the side of Mega included, who want to know about who's on that list. And I'm hoping that those voices prevail, and those voices that are standing in Congress saying, now, release them now.
Well, 4:00 this afternoon.
Yeah.
This representative from Arizona, who has been waiting for weeks to be sworn in, Representative Grijalva, will have the deciding vote. She will be the 218th vote on this release petition.
Yeah.
To release the to release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And this is what Mike Johnson has been avoiding like the plague.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing about this is, and I've seen some things on social media this morning, there are little snapshots of people doing stretches and stuff. Yeah, these are the Republicans preparing to claim that they never saw it and they have no idea what it is, and they've just been so busy they didn't have a chance to see any. They never what emails?
We have a lot of leaders right now, and they're on both sides of the aisle who don't know what's going on. They haven't heard things, whether it's Mike Johnson, Hakeem Jeffries, maybe the governor of a state we live in, who say things like, I don't know what's going on. You are leaders, and not just elected officials. You are in leadership roles in your elected officials. Don't tell me you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's not comforting.
Yeah.
855-752-4842. Cassandra from New London is joining us. Good morning, Cassandra. Thanks for calling in. What do you want to say?
Hey, good morning, guys. I actually just got done reading Virginia Guffey's
Her
memoir.
book? Yep.
Called Nobody's Girl. Yeah.
Yep.
And the fact that there are these people that are still being like, well, I don't know anything about it. I don't, and that woman was smeared when she finally came forward, and just to read her story and everything, and the pushback that she got and how she was taken advantage of by some people in the media. it's heartbreaking to see that. And like the fact that it came to the point that she actually took her own life, like, is absolutely devastating.
Yes.
And it is so infuriating that these people, I mean, we're used to people just capitulating to Trump. Like, we're absolutely used to that. But you have to put your foot down somewhere. This is disgusting behavior by these people.
And I have to think, Cassandra, because Thomas Massey, who is a Republican, and he has been pushing for the release of these files, he says that they're going to have more than enough Republican votes to get this done. And I can't help but wonder whether or not this is a way for some Republicans who are too afraid to stand up to Trump in public. This is a different way for them to get rid of him.
Yeah. And Cassandra, you bring up a fantastic point that we've been talking about for a while now, which is when you get past all the yelling, the screaming, and the hooting and the hollering from whomever is, whether is for it or just like, oh, whatever, don't worry about that. That's not important right now. This is about the justice that those victims, those survivors, those families deserve. The justice that our system is supposed to provide in a time when there is evidence showing there was wrongdoing and crimes committed. That file belongs to the people. It belongs to those individuals who are harmed so they can seek redress, retribution in the way of the courts, and justice. That's what it's all about.
Appreciate it, Cassandra. Thank you so much. Don't forget, keep it in the back of your mind, he is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes, absolutely.
That's going to happen, so don't be surprised. We have news coming up next on the other side. Best-selling New York Times author Andrew Watkins will join us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I don't go out at night since Barbara's youngest daughter disappeared from sight. I know they'll find her someday. They find them all that way. After the thaw in springtime, the snow melts away. I see the days grow shorter. I feel the nights grow close. Young people feeling restless. Old people feeling old.
Good morning, Angela. Does everything sound okay?
It does to me. How do I sound to you?
You sound good. We come back in just over 2 minutes.
All right.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, where you can join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. She has a great Substack called For Such a Time as This. I highly encourage you to follow it. She's also a New York Times bestselling author. Andrea Watkins is here. Good morning, Andrea. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
We are good. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Lots of things that we're going to talk about this morning. I wanted to start off. There's just so much.
It's such a big sigh, isn't it?
It is. It's a big
A
sigh.
lot of oxygen being taken in with that sigh.
Many sighs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about SNAP benefits. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. And this is part of the playbook of Project 2025. Getting rid of these kinds of social programs, right?
Yes, I wrote about it in great detail last year. Well, Project 2025 proposed taking all welfare assistance, including things like SNAP benefits, and turning them into religious Christian nationalist indoctrination in exchange for that assistance. They use the words religious organization, faith-based organization, etc., almost 200 times throughout that document. And every time they were using it, in large part, was to talk about how those kinds of organizations needed to be eligible for public money so that they could do the job of disseminating help to communities, that it wasn't the government's job to do that, that faith-based organizations and charities, but primarily faith-based charities,
right,
should be the ones who are distributing that money. So that they want to do away with SNAP is just a step toward making people desperate enough to go to a church and say, I'm hungry, so that the church can say, well, here's our contract of conduct that you have to sign and agree to do all these things, like go to church, come to chapel, here, meet with a non-licensed counselor that's just some Christian here and talk about your life. And you can't do things like fornicate or date or, things that we can find out about your life that are violating the Bible, because we're not going to subsidize you to keep sinning. So that's what this is designed to do. And if you're from the South like I am, you're used to this kind of thing. Gospel missions exist all over the South and are funded by religious organizations, and they have to comply with all kinds of religious rules to have a bed and a meal in these places. So this is not something that's not commonplace already.
So again, in essence, if you need assistance, if your family needs help for a month or 2 months after somebody lost a job or you had a medical crisis or something, this is a way to get people to acquiesce to these religious institutions and say, yep, I'll follow your rules. Please help me.
Yes, exactly.
I
even covered, go ahead, Greg.
Oh, no, you continue. I have a question after that, but you continue.
I even covered last year a gospel mission in Indiana that a man got a job. Getting a job is one of the things that these people harp on. You can't just suck off of us. You need to get a job. So he got a job, but it was a third shift job. So it conflicted with the required chapel time that he was supposed to be in chapel. So they kicked him out of the shelter because he was missing chapel, because he was at work.
He was working.
So, but I want listeners to understand that's how extreme these people are in terms of you will follow our rules in order to get help. And that is what Project 2025 wants to force every American who needs that kind of assistance into in exchange for help.
I was born, baptized, raised, educated Catholic, which means, according to a lot of people, I know nothing about Christianity. But in Matthew 14, Mark 6, Luke 9, and John 6, they all talk about Jesus feeding the 5,000 with the loaves and the fish. I could not find anywhere in there where Jesus told anyone in all four of those books where he said, I'll feed you, but first you got to ... He never said that. There was never a teaching from Jesus that there was no condition for his love or for his help, because God's love is unconditional. Now, there's a definite argument to me made that God's love is definitely conditional on, being jealous of other people loving him more. But Jesus' word was love your neighbor, feed thy neighbor, clothe thy neighbor. How do these groups, Andra, get away with trying to espouse the word of Jesus, specifically Jesus, yet put these conditions on people that make it so hard? I mean, this sounds, please forgive me, I do not want to say this, but it sounds like what cults do too. They make you sign contracts. They make you live by their rules. And if you can't, you are shunned, you are out, you are done because you're not good enough. And, oh, by the way, you're not good enough for Jesus. How do they square that?
Well, we've talked before on this program about how Christian nationalists do use cult-like tactics to indoctrinate people. I was indoctrinated that way. So to call it a cult, to call the various types of it a cult, is not a stretch. But we've talked before about how they use Jesus as a fire escape. Yay, I have my salvation. Jesus paid it all. And now we're going to go worship vengeful, angry, smitey Old Testament God. We've talked about smitey God a lot here.
Yep.
So that, I coined that phrase here, actually.
It's one of our favorite terms.
Smitey God sounds like a band I would never listen to. It's just a bad, terrible band. But I mean, and that's the thing is, but at this point, Andra, why aren't they just brazen? I mean, like, I feel like there's so many people from whether we want to talk about MAGA or from the Christian nationalists who are now just so brazen to say, yeah, I'm a Christian nationalist and I don't care. I'll tell everybody. Why do they even bother invoking Jesus anymore? Like, it's like they've used him for what they need. Now they can go on to say, well, we just actually like the God that serves floods and kills our firstborn.
Eye for an eye, God.
And the pillar of salt. I love the pillar of salt thing, especially that punishing women lady.
It's fabulous.
That's great. But why are they even? Why it feels like they're
rejecting Jesus.
Well, they're rejecting Jesus, but using him as window dressing.
Well, Jesus still has nice things to say, so he's a good thing to use to sell people up front with. They scared people to death with hell and the fact that they might go to hell when they die, if they don't believe in Jesus. So, and that I've written about on my Substack is part of how they persecute your amygdala and scare you to death so that they make you open. They make that part of your brain open to this kind of indoctrination. Mm-hmm. And hell was a big thing they talked about a lot when I was growing up. They dragged it out very often because they had to keep resetting that horror for you so that you'd keep being indoctrinated. So, that's what Jesus is good for. Jesus died so you can avoid this horrible fate. Mm-hmm. So accept that. And then they really, don't need him anymore, except to drag him out to talk about it in that context. Otherwise, it's Old Testament Smighty God all the way.
Who doesn't love a good Smighty God?
Smighty God.
I can see T-shirts, and I know there's just animation.
Walking down the street with his sidekick, Todd. Sorry, it's that song now. It's that song now.
If you're just joining us, New York Times bestselling author and creator of a great Substack called For Such a Time as This, Andra Watkins is our guest, and we're talking about Project 2025, the Christian nationalists who are a big part of that, including the author Russ Vogt, and some of the things that were happening with SNAP and those kinds of cuts and wanting to get rid of those kind of social safety net programs is all part of Project 2025 to push people, force people into churches.
Mm-hmm. I even covered last year.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Dane County in Wisconsin who voted against a public homeless shelter and house shelter for men because they didn't get to the root cause of homelessness, which was sin. And he was very adamant that they needed to sit down and go through their lives in detail and figure out what sins they were committing that were causing them to be judged by God and lose their homes. And it was all, he said all this openly. I don't know how he got elected in Dane County, but he did. And so
and they're not perfect either, Andra. They're not perfect either. So the question I have then, if I'm thinking honestly from a business standpoint then, if this gentleman said we need to look at the root cause, it's sin. These individuals need to go to a religious leader. I'm sure at that point he says that religious leader is located at my church. My church is this church. Yes. They have to then go there. Yes. And they might get some counseling for free at first. It reminds me of Scientology. You might get some free classes, some advice. But then if you really want to be a part of it, then you have to sign the contract. Then you have to tithe. Then you have to give of yourself, getting nothing in return other than your hard-earned money and your labor practices. And that's what it sounds like to me, is like, we don't care about sin. You care about getting one more parishioner into my church because we need more money.
Yeah. And I even covered last year, there's a program in Texas, and these are common also, to do this religious indoctrination in exchange for not going to jail. So they did a sting operation and had women posing as prostitutes to entrap men, and then offered them the choice of going to jail or going to this lust eradication program in the basement of a church that they had to pay hundreds of dollars for out of pocket and could not miss. If they missed, they had to go to jail. And so for 8 weeks, they had to be screamed at in a basement about their lust problem at their own expense. So it's not just things like SNAP that they want to do this with. It's also punishments and avoiding jail time by entering these programs.
Does anyone else find it ironic that they're being yelled about about their lust problems in a church basement? In everything that we have learned in the last 20 years about predators and where predators are, but
are groomed.
And oh my God.
Also, now lust problems is a sentence. Every time you come on the show, Andra, you have these wonderful white Christian nationalist tidbits, these lust problems. And honestly, too, the thing is a lot of these individuals who get arrested most likely believe in God, in a God, because most people on this earth believe in some form of a God. So they want to be loved by this God. So what better way to beat someone into submission verbally at the start by saying, you need to do this because God won't love you. You won't be good enough. So, of course, they're going to say yes.
We're going to continue our conversation with Andra Watkins, New York Times best-selling author. On the other side, woman on TikTok asking for help from churches to help feed her infant. Some very Christian responses. We'll kick that around next. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our resident young person Calvin on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, where you can join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. After the 10 o'clock news, Dr. Kristen Lyerly, host of the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show, weekends across Civic Media, will be joining us. We're going to talk about, among other things, Ozempic for everyone. Apparently is going to fix all our problems, even if you live in a food desert. Yeah, that's we'll talk about that coming up after the 10 o'clock news. Right now, we are joined by New York Times best-selling author and creator of a great Substack. You should subscribe. It's called For Such a Time as This. Andrea Watkins is here, and we'd like to talk to Andrea because you grew up in a Christian nationalist household, and you have a lot of perspectives that I think a lot of us don't have, especially when we're looking at the Trump administration, Project 2025, Russ Vought, who is a Christian nationalist. I wanted to get your reaction to this. This TikTok influencer, Nicole Monroe, called 30 different churches down south, posing as a single mother with an infant who ran out of formula. And she called all these churches, and most of them had all kinds of excuses as to why they could not help her.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 or 3. One was a mosque that responded that they could help her.
Yeah.
And 2 other, I believe, were black churches, African-American churches. And I saw this response on Twitter, Andrea, from this Stephen Anderson, who is a MAGA pastor at Faithful Word Baptist Church in Phoenix, Arizona. Here is what he had to say about this influencer and her experience. I would be pissed if I donated to a church and found out that they were giving the Lord's money to single mother whores. I would want it to go to the Lord's work or toward helping godly Christians who are in need. Churches should not be funding fornicators and their bastards. That's a pastor.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
But that's what was baked into Project 2025 that we were talking about before the break. This notion that we can't help single mothers because they're single mothers either because they spread their legs and let somebody knock them up when they shouldn't have, or they weren't good enough wives and their husbands divorced them, or they left their husbands because they're terrible women who, you know, to use his terminology, I'm not going to use it, but you read it there. So, you know, that's what they believe about single mothers. Single mothers are always single mothers because they somehow sinned. They somehow committed something terrible that is against the Bible, and therefore they do not need to be helping single mothers, you know, because they have to have consequences for these bad choices.
Where is the corresponding punishment for the penises involved?
Of course there isn't one, Jane.
Oh, there
of
isn't
course
one.
Not.
Oh.
This is always where I feel very weird.
But I mean, I'm just asking.
No,
that's not an unreasonable question.
Well, and that was my question too. And I wasn't going to invoke bodily members and whatnot, but it's the way you frame that, Andrea, is that whatever happened was the woman's fault. And even though if to me, like in the Catholic Church, divorce is a bad thing, I can imagine what divorce looks like in a Christian nationalist community or church. But if a man is just driven to madness by the woman that he has shared a bed with, he has no choice but to divorce her because she is so awful and so irredeemable, and she deserves everything she gets. And frankly, what I read from that one pastor was way worse than the one that I was looking at from a gentleman who said that they were witches, that she was a witch.
But that's a thing, Andrea. Much like Christian nationalists believe in a literal hell, they literally believe that witches walk the earth.
Yes, they do. And all of them are women. And many of them are single mothers. So
Well, that
Or-
just makes sense because the men would be wizards. Please, I've seen Harry Potter.
Come on, more capes, more caps.
Yeah.
We need more wizard hats. That would be great.
But at what point then? I mean, this is for another time because this is a 9-hour conversation. But God, at what point do people become tired and just say, "I can't do this anymore"? I mean, I don't I guess because I wasn't raised in it, I don't get it. But to me, there comes a point where your body just can't take anymore, and you have to walk away. I mean, you did that. You walked away. You escaped. But I just don't understand why there aren't just more people in droves leaving because these such thin-lined reasons that require their adherence and absolute obedience.
But when your community does nothing but reinforce those messages, right?
yeah,
That's
you're right.
That's all you know.
You're right.
That's all you know.
Yeah.
But there's also the problem of, 60-some% of Americans identify as Christians in the most recent PRRI survey that they released 20, 30 years ago. That was over 90% of Americans. So these policies actually do drive people away from churches in droves.
Yeah.
And so that's part of their problem now. They
Yeah.
have to find some other way to get people to come. And so coercing them, it's not go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature anymore. It's go ye into all the world and force the gospel on every creature.
Yeah.
Well, because
that's their
again,
mantra.
and we don't have enough time to get into this, but everything bad that happens in the world is the fault of us non-believers. It's important
Right.
to keep that in mind as well. Andrea Watkins is a New York Times best-selling author, has a great Substack called For Such a Time as This. Subscribe. It's incredible. Andrea Watkins, thank you so much. We'll see you next month.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Take care. News is next. When we come back, we'll be here with Dr. Kristen Lyerly. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the vast, statewide, countrywide. You can pick us up around the globe on the Civic Media Radio Network. welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenoff coming to you live from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Before we get to our next guest, want to remind you, coming up after 10:30, a segment we call Audio Sorbet, where we get away from the news, take a breath, talk about lighter, sillier things. Today's Audio Sorbet question: when did your body start betraying you? When did all of a sudden everything is fine? You're walking down the steps and your left knee goes, yeah, not today. When did your body first start fighting back? We're calling it Lumbago Corner. Audio Sorbet coming up after the 10:30
Can
news.
I also Lumbago Lounge?
Lumbago Lounge.
I feel like it's going to have lava lamps
And everyone's going to be laying back. Yeah.
and hot drinks that will
with the bed.
There it is, and hot drinks that help assist like
digestion
and just stretching out and things like that. Oh, and we're sponsored by Icy Hot.
Nice. That's Audio Sorbet coming up after the 10:30 news. Then we'll wrap it up as we always do with this Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it is, I have to say this carefully, the Stop Crock and Roll edition. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we are joined by our friend and colleague and host of the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show. You can catch across the network Saturdays and Sundays at noon.
Exactly.
Yes.
Noon.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm well, and I've got my lumbar support pillow behind me here.
I saw that.
I'd just like to share that the number is 40, generally.
40?
Whether you know it or not, the magic number in medicine is 40.
I want to call your pillow Vince Lombardi.
Oh.
I'm funny.
Because she's in Green Bay. Oh, that's good.
Oh.
She's processing that. We'll let it sink in.
I will leave now. I am sorry.
Among many things that we wanted to talk to you about this morning is Ozempic. Ozempic for all. Ozempic for everyone. This is the answer to all of our problems, Dr. Lyerly. I know a lot of people over the last 3 years especially have been using Ozempic or some type of it for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what amazed me when this announcement came, I believe it was last week, Robert Kennedy Jr. was asked about this, and he said he still believes there are serious risks to taking things like Ozempic. Martha McCallum on Fox News said, so you believe that Ozempic and Wegovy and these drugs, that they're safe for long-term use for Americans? Bob Jr. says, I didn't say that. Oh, okay.
I mean, what does he say? He says whatever he's told to say because he is not actually representing evidence and data. He is representing a political perspective, right?
And I would imagine the pharmaceutical companies as well.
Yeah, this is where it's tricky because he came in not in support of Ozempic and those medications, and now
Right.
suddenly he's changed sides. So I'm sure there's been some sort of an influence there. And I want to be really clear, Ozempic is a good drug. It has been life-changing for many people, not just when it comes to weight, but it seems to have something to do with impulse control. So there are other addictive behaviors that it appears that Ozempic seems to treat. Now, it's only been around and used for these purposes for a few years.
Yes.
So down the road, medicine is always changing. We in our minds want things to be good or bad, black or white. Things could change in the future. There will likely be things that we find out about Ozempic, good or bad, in the future. So roll with me, friends, because we are on a journey here, and it is not all good or not all bad. And when it comes to your healthcare in particular, it may work for you and it may not work for you, but this is your personal journey.
Absolutely. And this is where you need to talk to your doctor about whether or not this is going to work for you. But it is interesting how Bob Jr. came in. He was all against the pharmaceutical companies and all against pharmaceuticals and more natural ways and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, yep, Ozempic is the answer. Although, as you said, it's only been used for a couple of years, and studies that look at the efficacy and the side effects Those studies take a long time.
They do take a long time. And we do have a lot of data that shows that it is safe and it is effective for most people, but not for every single person. So just again, underlying the importance of personal shared decision making for every single one of us. And I also want to point out in this piece that you sent me, he wants to change the food culture. This is a quote from him, change the food culture. I also would like to change the food culture, but I can't even get my kids to eat vegetables. It is hard
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
people to eat healthy, locally produced, organic food that is good for us, because that is just not how our culture has evolved. So I really look forward to how he is going to change our food culture, because he's high on rhetoric and low on details.
Well, good heavens, Michelle Obama, when Barack Obama was in office, and she started a garden and she started the whole Let's Move program and was crucified for that,
Well-
just excoriated for that.
The thing with that, though, is that it started as an eating healthy campaign, and let's get some healthier options in schools. That's when people lost their minds. Then they had to pivot it to the Let's Move campaign, was just saying, hey, get your kids outside for like 30 to 60 minutes a day, because they had to kind of abandon the food aspect, as it was fodder for the 24-hour news networks and anyone who felt like having to eat an asparagus was an infraction upon your freedom.
Well, that's when Sarah Palin was going to hand up freedom cookies or something at all schools. It was ridiculous.
It's stupid. It's political, and it undermines our own health, because we start thinking about food and activity in political terms instead of what's actually good for us.
Well, I wanted to ask you a really quick question about, I just want to go back to Ozempic for a second, because it is, as you said, it's a fantastic drug. I know people who are on it or on some version of it, an injectable medicine to help them with weight loss, but it's not the catch-all, solve-all. It's not, you're not going to take Ozempic and just lose weight. There are other things you need to do. I know somebody particular who is on it, and they're upset that they're not losing more weight quicker. And I said, well, are you eating better, and are you exercising on a like 2, maybe 3 times, even for walks? I'm even talking about going to the gym for 2 hours.
Just a walk.
Going for like a walk. And they're like, not really. I'm like, well, that shot isn't the silver bullet, if you will. You've got to do, it's part, as we've always said in weight loss journeys, it starts with watching what you eat and getting some exercise. From there, that's where you start. But Ozempic is not just the fix-all, catch-all. It is the bringer of weight loss. That's not how it works.
I just want it to happen to me. I don't want to work for it. Think about how
Exactly.
long it took you to get to the point where you have attained this weight. It's not going to come flying off. For some people, it comes off pretty rapidly, but like it does take time. And I'd also like to point out that RFK Jr. has set a weight loss goal for America. Did you see this? It's 125 million pounds. Let's go. Freedom.
But won't some of us be invisible then?
I saw somebody, see, you say that amount, and I feel like that was lower. I feel like I saw somebody make the claim that if we really work, we could lose like billions of pounds. And they said that to do that, every American would need to lose so much weight that people would end up being like they weighed nothing. Like there was no, like once again, no math was involved, no research was involved. And this really speaks to something for me personally that's really close to my heart, which is weight loss journeys, mental health, healthy lifestyles. It is a struggle. I struggle with it every single day of my life. And for people like RFK, who goes on his social media and takes his shirt off and does pull-ups, great. I'm glad that you as a Kennedy have access to money and this equipment and a lifestyle that allows you to focus yourself on being healthy. I don't mean that. I'm glad you're healthy. I really am. It's not that easy for everyone. And to say that everyone's going to get a wearable watch, everyone's going to go on Ozempic, and we're going to be great and we're going to lose all this weight, that, again, doesn't address the core problems of weight loss, maintaining healthy lifestyle. Food deserts, eating at a, go ahead, have a piece of chocolate cake. But throw a salad in there every once in a while. But we don't address that because we just think the Ozempic's the fix.
Well, again, we want the magic bullet.
Yeah.
And we want the one thing that's going to do it for us without us having to do anything. If you're just joining us on Matenaer On Air, Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here, host of The Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show that you can catch across the network on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays at noon, talking about the announcement by the Trump administration, I believe it was last week, about Ozempic. They're going to be lowering the price because it was really expensive. It was like $1,500 a month. Now down to $150, which for a lot of people, that's still way too expensive.
That's putting things out of your, like, that's making a choice again.
Well, exactly.
I pay for this or Ozempic.
Or exactly. But the other thing, Bob Kennedy actually said out loud in words in front of people and microphones that Ozempic might be an answer for people who live in food deserts, Dr. Lyerly.
This just underlines how out of touch he and the administration are. They truly do not understand the struggles of Americans who are having to put food back at the grocery checkout. Have you ever been in that situation? It's humiliating. That's how I grew up. We were on SNAP. It is the worst when your mom says,
Can't have that.
But, it's worse now. I mean, look at these people who are struggling to find affordable housing, who can't afford their food, who can't afford their health care. How can they spend an extra $130 on Ozempic? That's not what they're thinking about. They're living in a food desert where their only options are cans and bags. There's no fresh food. There's no education. There's no information. And a great place to start would be in schools, where kids are being fed, where we can actually control the food that we are giving them and encourage them and teach them how to make healthy choices. Wouldn't that be just like, doesn't that make so much sense?
Well, again, I go back to, if I read this correctly and if my ears were working correctly, Bob Kennedy's Jr.'s answer to people living in food deserts is take a drug so you won't be hungry and then you won't mind living in a food desert.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be a good fix to me. And I'm not a doctor, so
Neither is Bob Kennedy Jr.
Well, that's true too.
How does SNL even do it anymore? Because the things that these people are actually saying sound like parodies. Constantly, every day it's something like this. I was talking with a colleague of mine the other day about all the things that are happening in women's health. And the Heritage Foundation is threatening birth control now. I mean, we've been hearing about this, but it is coming down the pike. They're talking about wastewater. They're talking about how birth control is affecting the entire population. This is coming. Nobody's talking about it, though, because the Republicans continue to flood the zone by starving Americans and recommending Ozempic as a solution.
Well, we will talk about that on the other side, what they would really rather we don't know that's happening. I think that's important. We're going to continue talking with Dr. Kristen Lyerly. You can always join us at 855-752-4842. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our one, our only calzone on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here, host of the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show. Catch it weekends at noon across the Civic Media Radio Network. Yes.
Guess who my guest is this week?
Me.
Who?
Oh.
It's Kristen Bry.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm having lunch. We're having lunch on Friday.
Oh, we had such a great
Oh, yeah, I
conversation.
can text
We
her right
taped
now.
it last night. Oh, we had so much fun. You know, it's just great to get the band back together every once in a while, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're hoping that we will hear from her my last week, which is 4 weeks away from
That's okay.
today. Yeah,
Damn,
4 weeks away
Jane.
from today.
That's
we're
so
gonna call.
crazy.
Can you call that episode the Kristen Brierly Show? I'm really. What is wrong with
He's
me
on
today?
a roll
What is
today.
wrong with me
He's
today?
on a
Ugh.
roll.
And we're both INs. That's like a differentiator in the
The-
Kristen community.
There you go.
The correct way, as Kristen Bry always said, the correct way to spell Kristen. We're gonna, in the time that we have left, we had a great email come in from Teresa in Eau Claire. We were talking about Ozempic before we went to the break, which now apparently is the Trump administration's answer to everything. Teresa in Eau Claire says one of the biggest issues with Ozempic is the people who use it for type 2 diabetes now can't get it because it's being overprescribed for people who want to lose weight. I had to switch to another brand because my pharmacy could no longer get it. The second issue is it's not a miracle drug for weight loss. Yes, it suppresses your appetite, but the side effects are many, and I honestly don't know why someone healthy would subject themselves to that. And the other thing, Greg and I were talking about this before we jumped on the air this morning, Dr. Lyerly. Everybody freaking out about the COVID vaccine. It's too soon. It just came out. We don't know. It's going to make me magnetic. I'm still waiting. But this, they can't wait to sign up for.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll take it.
I know. Well, so much of it is marketing. Politics is involved in all of this. And, you know, she's right. When it comes to people who have needed this, this is where the bulk of the evidence has been in treating type 2 diabetes. And having to change the medication, even though it's in the same class, your body doesn't react the same way. So lots of people are really struggling with those changes. It has been a difficult transition for many people. Having said that, Ozempic does work nicely for a lot of folks as well. So again, for the third time today, we all have to be able to make our own personal healthcare decisions and decide what is the right path for us.
What happens when you stop taking it?
We don't know.
Oh.
So because we've never done it on this level before, we've had so many people using it for weight loss. What we've seen, the preliminary data suggests that you actually start gaining the weight back. But what we're seeing a lot of people do now is microdosing it. You're even hearing this in the ads, like microdosing. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. The thing that I worry about is that you mentioned this earlier, Greg, if you're just using this and you're not doing the exercise and the healthy eating that goes along with it, you're going to be losing muscle mass. And really, it is muscles that we need as we age. Even if you're carrying a couple extra pounds, you really need to have a good, strong frame, because when you've got good muscles, you've got good bones. And when you've got good bones, you're less likely to get fractures. You will age better that way. So if there's one plug I could put out there for all of us, a little bit of
weight training,
a little bit of strength training. It doesn't have to be like grinding it out in the gym, but whatever you can do, whether it's Pilates or some resistance things at home, that does make a difference and will help you age better.
And one of the things too, I wanted to talk about really quick when it comes to this topic is that, we live in a society with, we live in a Biggest Loser society where we see people lose dozens, if not 100+ pounds in the course of a TV season. That's not healthy either.
No.
You are most likely going to gain that weight back. Your body is going to struggle to go back to what it was used to. And the moment you put down that extensive, very intense workout, your body is on its way to getting you back to where it thinks you need to be, because your body thinks it's helping you. And therefore, you're going to gain weight, and against biology, it's not your fault per se, but you take it as, well, I failed.
I'm a failure.
I gain weight again. No, and that's the problem is like if you want to lose weight, make small goals, do it over a long period of time, and then you will see the benefits, and then you'll have a better chance of keeping that weight off, and you'll just be healthier. And I mean, I know at least 6 people in my life who have had to go into surgery to remove loose skin because they go for these excessive crash diet / workout plans where they're losing 50, 60, 70 pounds in 6 months. And yeah, they feel good, but a year later, they're gaining it back.
And that's way too quick to lose weight. I'm sorry, but isn't it a pound and a half like every 2 weeks, Dr. Lyerly, is really what we should be looking at?
That's like a guideline, but your body is going to do what your body is going to do. If you just focus on activity and healthy eating, you're going to get there. But you both mentioned this, the psychological aspect of it. Your mind has to be in the game too. This just isn't about your body. And everybody's body is different. We have different shapes. We have different compositions. We're dealing with different medical conditions. So we really have to make sure that when we plan a weight loss journey, we're doing it for ourselves, not according to guidelines or the biggest loser or how much Ozempic can I get.
And talk to a doctor, talk to a nutritionalist, talk to people who are licensed, who are certified, qualified. Don't talk to someone who sells weight loss cream.
And don't ask Bob Jr. because he doesn't know. Dr. Kristen Lyerly has a great show across the network, the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show on noon, weekends across Civic Media. Thank you so very much, my friend. We will see you again soon.
Thank you, my friends. Mwah.
Take care. News coming up next when we return. Audio sorbet. We're going to crawl into the lumbago lounge. Ow. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. This is the portion of the show that we call Audio Sorbet, where we take a breath, get away from the news, talk about sillier other things.
Indeed.
Today, this came up because we were talking about it before we jumped on the air.
Yeah.
When did your body first betray you?
Yeah.
You get up one day and you're walking down the steps, you're walking down the stairs to the first floor, and your left knee just goes, yeah, no, not today.
I'm going to stop right here.
Nope, I had a good run.
Yep.
Today, I'm done.
I might power back up, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. You had a issue yesterday.
No, this morning.
Oh, it was this morning. That's right. As you're dropping off the puppy.
Yeah, so we take our dog to daycare once a week, and I'm drop her off before I come to the studio. And I park next to the place. I open the car door. I lean in to give her a big kiss, because that's what I do. I give her a big kiss and tell her how much I love her, because I can't stop, because I'm unstoppable, because I love that dog so much, even though she mildly acknowledges me. I lean in to give her a kiss to say, here we go. And as I lean and give her a kiss, there is just a feeling. It's not a sound. It's nothing anyone could ever hear or be aware of.
Not a noticeable crack or anything.
Just like a movement inside my left lower back, and my whole body just goes stiff as a board in that bent position, and I cannot move for like a solid 10 seconds.
You're just stuck there.
I'm stuck there. It's like I feel this rush of pain from my hip through my tush down to my leg, and I go, oh no. And I have to stand there. I have to stand, quote unquote, if you want to call it standing. But I had to take a moment. And she was kind of like getting like, let's go.
I'm ready to go in, Dad.
And I'm like, nope, kiddo, we got to take a moment. We got to take a moment, because Papa's got to just let his body be awful. But that was the thing, is like, I didn't do anything. I didn't
bent down.
I bent over. I had the audacity. I didn't even bend over. I just leaned in. That's all I did. And my body said, I'm going to ruin your day.
Not today.
And it hurts still. It's much better than it was a couple hours ago. But like, if you've been watching the live stream, I have been moving, and because it just cannot
so
get
uncomfortable.
Comfortable space. But that's not. I wasn't dunking a basketball or like hauling heavy equipment up a hill,
moving furniture.
Moving furniture. I barely was thinking, and my body's like, hey, how would you like to have an adventurous Wednesday? And boom.
Yeah. When did your body first betray you? 855-752-4842. And you're 47.
I'm 47. I turned 48 in a few.
It's a month from today. Don't you turn on the 12th?
Yes. I've been
lots of things going on.
Not bringing that up at all.
Lots of things
not
going
bringing
on
that up
December
at all
12th.
for December the 12th.
We'll
at
have
all.
Many celebrations.
No, we will not. We will celebrate one thing and one thing only. That is Jane Matenaer.
No, we're going to have multiple celebrations. When did your body first betray you? At 855-752-4842. Jack from Merrimack is on the line. Good morning, Jack. Thanks for joining us. What does she want to say?
Well, I have been incredibly lucky about that. The last time I was climbing something, I'm a rock climber, among other things. Last time I was climbing something really hard, I was only 70, and I was still doing 10s on a 10-point scale.
Wow.
You know what, Jack? I really don't need to hear this right now from you, okay?
Now at 80, I'm still climbing, but I let my son lead the hard stuff.
That's really impressive, Jack.
And my wife and I regularly go out east, and we do a biking trip. This last time we did probably a couple 100 miles on the Erie Canal Trail. And
all right, cut his mic, seriously. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I've been incredibly lucky, and I've been very appreciative of that, and I do have friends that are not as lucky, and I always try to spend some time with them too.
But don't you think, Jack, because you have stayed active all these years, that's probably one of the ways that you have insulated yourself from some of these things.
Well, and that does help.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. The old "I'd rather wear out than rust out" formula, I think, worked pretty much for me. So it's been a good run.
Now, really quick, Jack, have you been in an active lifestyle for a long time, or was this something where you said, I need to take up some activities that kind of bring it? Because like what you're doing, I like, because rock climbing is very fun, biking is very fun. It's not fun to get dressed and go to the gym unless you want to pump iron and get all swole. But like going for a bike ride or even going for like an hour-long walk, that's great exercise, doing some small stretches. But is this something that's been part of your life for decades, or is this something you discovered maybe later?
I started competition swimming when I was 16 years old. In between, besides the swimming, I've done dance, and obviously the climbing and biking. So I've been really pretty active.
Yeah.
One of the important things about that, though, is you have to listen to your body.
Yep.
I have only had a couple of injuries in all those years, and including in the climbing.
Wow.
And but you have to listen to your body, and when it says not today, you have to believe it.
Yeah,
my body says that a lot.
Well, but the whole thing about you have to play through the pain and you have to go through the pain. Yeah, no, don't. Your body is sending you a message, right, Jack?
Yeah, because you can cause an injury, or you can make an injury worse by doing that, and that is important. And also, if somebody is going to start working out at doing a very active sport or an active activity at a later age, you got to take your time and start slowly and build up over time. When I go on a bike trip, I lose some of my upper body strength because I'm not climbing, and I'm not, and I do hit the gym and the weight room too. And when I return, I start very, very slowly to build up back to where I was, and that's a critical thing too. If you're going to start carefully, listen to your body. If you got, if you can get together with a good, competent trainer, or if you have an orthopedic doctor that you're comfortable with, get some advice that way. That is.
Appreciate that, Jack. Thank you so much.
I had no idea we were talking to Jack from Merrimack, also known as Jack LaLanne. My goodness, that's a very old reference for some of you, but
it is. That's
but
a good
still,
one.
I mean, all of what he said was exactly. And this, I mean, I almost wanted to invite Dr. Lyerly to this portion because we're going to talk about the fact that you do your body better by introducing small paces of exercise into your life, and it doesn't have to be 3 hours at the gym or a 50-mile bike ride. It can be 45-minute walk. It can be some resistance bands. It can be some light stretches in the morning.
It can
and
be
the
a
evening.
dance class.
It can be a dance class. Jack the dancer.
I love that.
He's kind of my new. He's what I'm reaching for now.
He's 80 and he's obviously in better shape than we are.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
855-752-4842. We're in the Lumbago Lounge.
Yeah, welcome.
Today for Audio Sorbet. When did your body first betray you? Terry texting in, listening on WAUK. I ruptured my right Achilles while climbing Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica. I was in my 20s. Thank you, Terry.
I think I did something also. That's another part of it. And if anyone's been listening this year to the show, I've been taking series of, medical things like going to the doctor more, doing getting the test, getting the test and doing all this stuff. And one of the things I finally have to, I think I did something to my Achilles on my left foot because it's not good.
It's not working with you.
And what Jack just said really resonated. You can't play through the pain because even though I'm not going and playing football in the park, I'm walking, and that's constant stress and pressure you're putting on your body. So yeah. Yes, I can feel that pain right now, Terry.
Thanks, Jack. Join us. When did your body first betray you at 855-752-4842? Brett from Brown Deer joining us on the line. Good morning, Brett. What did you want to say?
Good morning, guys. Oh, I remember this day well. I was on the back of a pickup truck with my buddy unloading some tile. And when I went to jump off like a million times I do,
Mm-hmm.
my brain would not let me. My brain just said, no, you don't do this anymore. and I kind of thought for a minute, I'm like, how dare you tell me? And I was still ready to jump off, but I'd be damned if I didn't sit down, take my legs off the tailgate, and hop down like a sane, rational man.
Did you when you sat down, Brett? Did you swing your legs too like a kid? Like, here I go, catch me.
A little bit. But I'll never forget that the brain. Well, now I always trust my brain.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Your brain is there to help you.
That is so funny, Brett.
For the most part.
Thank you so much. That's hilarious.
What about you, Jane?
Actually, over the weekend, and I'm walking down the steps.
Yes.
Saturday morning, like I always do.
Yeah.
To go get my cup of coffee.
Yep.
And my left knee just went, no. I'm halfway down the
Shut it down.
Yeah, I'm halfway down the steps, and my left knee just went.
Yeah.
I haven't fallen.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tripped on anything. I haven't walked into anything. It just for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was like, well, you're going to have to work around me.
My friend Tia ripped her ACL walking down a step. Not bopping down a step, not dancing or like walking. Just took a human step and went. I once was laying in bed and I just stretched that nice morning stretch you get, and it pulled my back so hard that they had to send me home from work. That's not fair.
We're falling apart.
I know.
855-752-4842. When did your body first betray you? That is our audio sorbet question for today. Liz from Saukville. I tore my ACL in my left knee while moshing at my parents' house when they were gone.
All right.
And I was in my 20s.
Yeah, that sounds. I pinched my sciatic nerve in my 20s, and when my doctor told me what had happened, he goes, "Hey, your sciatic nerve is pinched." I'm like, doesn't that happen exclusively to people in their 80s? Like,
no.
I feel like your sciatic nerve doesn't even develop until you're 65.
I had sciatica really badly for about 5 years. It is excruciatingly
Yes, it is.
painful.
I would walk, and sometimes, like when it would flare up through my heel, I would crumple to the floor.
Oh yeah, it used to drop me.
Yeah.
It would drop me to the ground.
Oh.
Jack from Merrimack texting in, and I think this is good. By the way, going to the doctor more isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's called preventative maintenance.
Whatever, man.
We do it for our cars. We should do it for our bodies.
Fair point.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. That was a lot of fun. We're not alone. You're not alone. We're not alone. We're all falling apart.
We're here in the Lumbago Lounge, sponsored by Doan's Back Bill. Doan's, back off. I'm feeling good.
And Lazy Boy will help you get out of the chair. When we return, we'll wrap it up, as we always do, with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, the Stop Crock and Roll edition. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide, pick us up around the world on the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Tomorrow is already Thursday. I know. Time is whoosh.
Yeah.
Jim Santel, our friend and colleague and host of Amicus, a law review on Saturdays 9 to 11 across Civic Media. Jim Santel will be joining us. As always, there is a lot to cover with Mr. Santel. Lots of court cases going on. Lots of things going on.
Yeah. And if you want to really deep dive into what's happening in the world of law, I would suggest listening or watching on the Civic Media live stream Amicus, a law review, because Jim Santel is a former U.S. attorney, practicing attorney. He worked under 5 presidents, which means he served at the pleasure of 5 people who are elected different parties. He knows what the Constitution's all about. He talks about these topics at length and gives you a really good digestible deep dive into what's happening in the world of law. So that is Amicus, a law review, every Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. And you can always catch it on civicmedia.us/shows. Download episodes when you can't catch up and subscribe to it as a podcast. Same with our show, too. Subscribe to us as a podcast. That way it gets delivered right to your device. You can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Catch up with all the stuff going on with the shows here.
He does a really nice job of explaining things that are not in lawyer speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why one of the reasons why we love it so much. And then because it is Thursday, Journal Sentinel's J.R. Ratcliffe will be here to talk all things sports. We'll pretend there's good news somewhere.
Pat Murphy is the coach of the year.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Pancakes in your pocket.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's political editor and creator of the Recombobulation Area. Dan and I sat down for an interview after I announced my retirement a couple of weeks ago.
You're retiring?
I am retiring in 4 weeks. 4 weeks from today.
Who knew?
And we did an interview.
Yeah.
So if you would like to know a little bit more about my decades.
You stop talking about it like that, okay?
Well, in radio, Dan's got he's done a really, really nice job. I owe him lots of money.
You owe him?
For making me look so good.
My goodness.
So thank you to Dan Schaefer for that. Really appreciate it. It is 10:55, Calvin. That means it's time for
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
If you ever stumble over a thing you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at janesays@civicmedia.us. This from the BBC. Lana Lamb has the byline, evidence of ancient tree climbing drop crocs found in Australia. Scientists have unearthed Australia's oldest known crocodile eggshells, which they think belonged to drop crocs, creatures that climb trees to hunt prey below. Discovering the 55-million-year-old eggshells in a farmer's backyard in Queensland, Australia.
Queensland back in the news.
Queensland back in the news. The eggshells belong to a long-extinct group of crocodiles known as Mekosuchines. Could be right, could be wrong. Who lived in inland waters when Australia was part of Antarctica and South America. Yes, these crocodiles, they believe the drop croc eggshells indicate that they were terrestrial hunters in the forests. So essentially, we have crocodiles that can climb trees and then drop on you from above.
Okay.
Yes.
You know I love science.
Yes.
You know I love evolution. Sure. You know I love space. That's neither here nor there right now. But question I have is, one, how do they know that these crocodile actually climb trees and drop? Where they're just where they're fossilized imprints of the backs where they fell off and just landed on their tuchuses and
Those are all very valid questions.
I mean, I don't doubt the existence of these crocodiles, but my question is, how are they able to ascertain not only how they hunted, but their ability to climb trees? Are they finding claw marks in fossilized trees? Also, I can't stop saying, crikey, it's a drop croc, and just whap. No. Because if I'm going to do an Australian accent, I'm going to do it right.
That's a movie in the making right there.
Dropodile Dundee. No, that's dumb. Sorry, it didn't work. I should have drop Crocodile Dundee. There you go.
We'll workshop. Professor Michael Archer says drop crocs were a bizarre idea, but some were perhaps hunting like leopards, dropping out of trees on any unsuspecting thing they fancied for dinner. The drop crocs could grow to about 5 meters. They were plentiful 55 million years ago, long before modern saltwater and freshwater crocodiles arrived about 3.8 million years ago.
When I was younger, we used to climb the trees and get our prey. Now, all you kids just swim around in the water and just wait for it to come to you.
Lazy crocodiles.
Just absolute bunk. Hate it.
It's a shame to see what's happened to crocodiles today.
Crikey.
That wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and all of our engineers and everyone at Civic Media. Without you, nothing works. And thank you most of all for calling and texting and watching on the live stream and for listening. It absolutely means the world. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. Keep it right here. We have news coming up next, followed by Tom Hartman. Todd Alba, Maggie Dawn, Pete Schwaba, and so much more. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.